This meeting is now resumed. We are on topic SE 2.1, item SE 2.1, Customer Experience Division Annual Report 2023. We have a registered speaker. The next speaker is Jessica Speaker. Good morning, Jessica. Welcome to the Service Excellence Committee. You have 5 minutes to speak to us.
Thank you very much.
Please begin.
My name is Jessica Speaker, and I'm here to speak on behalf of Friends and Families for Safe Streets to address the level of customer service excellence provided by you, Councillor Holiday, to your constituents and to all people who bike, roll, and walk in Toronto. In particular, I, and doubtless every other victim of road violence, was appalled to see you entertain a resident's expression of his desire to run over a person on a bike and perhaps kill them with his motor vehicle.
Ms. Speaker, may I just pause? I have to remind you that we are here to listen to your comments about item SE 2.1, Customer Experience Division Annual Report 2023. I'm asking you to please stick to the matter before us today. If you cannot confine your comments, I will end your time and ask you to submit the rest of your comments to the committee in writing. Are you ready to proceed?
Yes. What this resident said was, personally, I'd like to run them over and get them out of my way, and you did not denounce that. Let me tell you what happens when a driver runs over someone with a car. They usually die. If they don't die, their life is ruined. Their bones are broken, their soft tissue is mangled, their spinal cord might be severed, one or more of their limbs might be severed. They'll live with relentless chronic pain, they'll suffer the debilitating impacts of PTSD, and very likely will suffer a life-altering brain injury and may even require lifelong care. That is what happens when a driver runs somebody over. That is the real-life, direct consequence of the customer service excellence provided at your meeting. My own brain was too damaged in my crash for me to remember anything, but as that 5,000-pound SUV hurtled towards me on May 20th, 2015, and it became obvious the driver was going to slam it into me, and I screamed for my life, or so the witnesses said, I'm sure I was making note of the level of excellence of customer service I was receiving from the city and in part from you because you were in power at the time. I have certainly noted that level of customer service excellence every single day of the 3,227 days that have passed since. On May 28th, 2023, less than a year ago, Kyle Shreve, a 37-year-old man, was struck and violently killed on his bike in your ward on Scarlett near Braeburn while he was riding his bike. He unarguably did not receive customer service excellence from you, his councillor. His death was completely preventable, but you consistently opposed cycling infrastructure, especially on arterial roads like Scarlett. His family had to plan a sudden funeral, and his friends...
Can I just pause you for a moment? I am reminding you again that we are here to listen to your comments about the item SE 2.1 Customer Experience Division Annual Report 2023. I'm asking you to please stick to the matter before us today.
Point of order, Mr. Chair.
Point of order, Councillor Perks.
I'm looking at the staff report on page 7 under the heading Bicycle Safety SR Category Improvements. It reads, CXD collaborated with councillors in the Toronto Centre Cyclist Group to improve the online SR category related to bicycle safety concerns. Changes were made to improve the overall experience for cyclists, including updating cycling-related resources, creating a new subcategory for bicycle safety issues and concerns, and grouping cycling-related SRs together, making it easier to identify appropriate SR related to cycling. The report in front of us explicitly talks about how cyclists communicate about safety issues. So in my view, you are mistaken in ruling this as not relevant. I'd ask you to rule on that.
Thank you, Councillor Perks. I'm familiar with this section of the report and will rule accordingly. Ms. Speaker, I'll just finish the end of this.
What's your ruling on my point of order?
On your point of order is that there are some comments that are in order and there are some comments that are not.
I've asked that you rule on whether this particular deputation is in order.
There are elements of this deputation which I find out of order.
I challenge the chair.
Okay. Councillor Perks challenges the chair. Should the chair be upheld? All those in favor? Any opposed? Okay. There we have it. Ms. Speaker, please continue.
Thank you. Kyle Shreve's death was completely preventable, but you consistently oppose cycling infrastructure, especially on arterial roads like Scarlet. However, Kyle Shreve may have inconvenienced a driver slightly, and his statement, your resident statement, personally, I'd like to run them over to get them out of my way, may have applied, so perhaps the driver was justified in killing him. It's not at all difficult to imagine the same attitude being extended towards people on foot who can pose just as much, if not even more of, an inconvenience to a driver as someone on a bike can. In fact, on August 11, 2020, a woman in her 80s struck and killed a 3-year-old boy in your ward, injured his father and older brother. Perhaps you would excuse that driver because 3-year-olds don't walk fast enough, so they inconvenience drivers, and the statement, personally, I'd like to run them over to get them out of my way, applied. Residents complained that Montebello Gardens, on which this collision took place, was a speedway, and you could have addressed that by pushing for speed calming Vision Zero design upgrades, but instead a child was violently killed and a family was shattered as a direct result of the level of customer service excellence you provide to your constituents. I could go on all day with stories of horrific violence unleashed in your ward, Councillor Holyday, but I will keep this short. I'm sure every family whose loved one was killed by a driver notes the level of service excellence you provide them when you staunchly oppose every concrete instantiation of Vision Zero that could prevent future deaths because it might add a moment to a driver's commute. I hope all victims of road violence who live in your ward are aware of the level of customer service excellence you demonstrate when you consistently value perceived driving convenience over the life of anyone outside of a car. Councillor Holyday, I want to express to you in the clearest and strongest possible terms that entertaining such an incitement to violence and death without condemnation, as the crowd laughed and cheered at the thought of someone being violently hurt and even killed, is an unforgivable slap in the face to every victim of road violence in your ward and across the city, of which there are very, very many. Your ward averages more than 2 deaths and 12 life-ruining severe injuries year after year, and that adds up to a lot of people. You did not eject that speaker. You did not denounce his wish to run someone over with his car and very likely kill them. You allowed the crowd to clap and laugh without interruption at the bloodthirsty wish to kill someone who is perceived to inconvenience a driver for a few seconds. We ask you to do the following: apologize for entertaining an incitement to lethal violence, apologize to staff for exposing them to violent statements in their workplace, denounce the act of intentionally
Can you
committing
wrap up,
lethal
please? Your
road
time is
violence,
up.
and take road violence more seriously. Thank you.
Questions of the speaker? Seeing none, thank you for speaking to the committee.